Carl Wocten, and I'm here displaying some artwork that I create. I start out by trapping the critters in the wintertime and then skinning them and stretching them and rehydrating them and tanning them, and then when I got the finished product after much time, I make them into pouches, and I just think it's a way to preserve the whole creation longer. It's like, well, thanks for giving me the want and where to and how to, and this is what I make out of that process. Oh, well, you start out by trapping is art that was kind of opened this country up years and years and years ago by people coming in and taking the fur-bearing animals and taking them back east and making hats and stuff out of them is what they used the beaver for, is the felt. And it's an art in itself to be able to coax that creature into that trap and get him caught in the first place, because a lot of people just come up empty right there. Then you get it and you have to pack it out of the woods and you have to skin it. And when you get it skinned, then you have to stretch it and flesh it, get it all clean, and then you have to stretch it out on a board with in a symmetric circle. You nail it down and stretch it out and let it dry. And then after that has happened, then you take the dried product and you put it into a salt and water solution and rehydrate it. And then after you've rehydrated it, you put it into a bath of salt and boric acid, and then that neutralizes or kills and tans the hide. And then you use you take that and you go into another solution and you soak it for another 24-hour period in salt water and like aluminum oxide. And then you take it from that solution and you go into a solution of baking soda so that it neutralizes the other chemicals. And then you let that dry for a period of time up to about 80% of the moisture left in the hide that you had when it was wet. And you start then by putting your brain tanned oils on it, or whatever oil solutions you're using. They have tanning oils and stuff that you can use, and you put that on and put the hide together so that it dries slowly. And when it gets to about 80% of that being dry, then you start breaking it down, and that's stretching it and breaking it and rubbing it with rocks and whatever you can to stretch that hide and break that hide and make that fiber come off of the hide. So then that's what makes it soft and makes it maintain its supple. If you don't, then it'll just become hard again like a disc. Okay. But it won't be flat like it was when you stretch it. It'll be all bumpy and full of contour and topography because it'll just shrink back up. So then we get done with all of that work. If you go and you sell a hide at, say, to a furrier, he's the one who's going to want to make the money off it. So you're not going to get very much for it. So you spent several months to get to this stage where they're going to give you $35 or $45 for your beaver hide. So beaver aren't really worth much. People don't bother even trapping them. Where it used to be, that was money. A beaver was money. Now it's just a pest. These ones I trapped actually at a person's property that was their property was being destroyed by the beaver, and no one takes care of them, so they actually asked us to come out and do what we could to help get rid of some of their beavers. So I thought I'd rather make something out of it that would last than to have it go off and who knows what happens to it after you get rid of it, see? Mm-hmm. So now I have something that'll last forever, and they're like one of a kind. You know, even though you make another one that's made out of beaver and looks similar, it's not the same. It wasn't made the same. It wasn't the same. It's its own thing. It just becomes something of an entity of its own. These are mostly made out of elk hide and deer hide, and the bags are made from beaver and muskrat. And I just kind of combined the two materials to get the best usage out of the material, so I have less waste in either one of them. And they work well together. They make a statement that's, you know, original, and it's also something that goes back a long, long time. You know, these same type of things were made in frontier times for people to carry their possibles around in. They used them. This bag here was you carried all the little things that you came encountered with, you know, rocks and stones, and it was like a photo album, because you'd take those things out later and you would say, oh, I remember when I found that, and it was like carrying around a bag of memories, like we do in our cameras now, you know. That's what they had. They didn't have a camera. They had how I felt when I found that stone. I put that in there and it became special. And now later on I look at that and I recount that memory. And that's what makes a thing last, is how long you can recount a memory. So, kind of, that's why it's a lost art. I tried to find things way back 15, 20 years ago, and I couldn't find them, so instead of trying to find things from the past, because everything's manufactured by machines and it just doesn't have the right appeal to it as a thing that's made by hand. It doesn't have any special put into it, you know. There isn't, the person who made it isn't inflected into that because they're just doing a job. The machine's doing the work. They're just running the machine so it doesn't run rampant. Here, everything is, you know, it's like every stitch is a prayer, you know, because you're trying to make it just right, and you want it to be something that others will appreciate too. And when other people appreciate it, it makes me feel good that they appreciate it also. But it was made mainly because I wanted to have things that you couldn't find. So if you can't find them, you have to create them yourself.